Hello, Facebook. Hello, everybody. 25 here. We're kicking off this October with kind of reconnecting with y'all. We haven't been on Facebook in a while, and wanted to start having some conversations because there's a lot going on out there. I'm checking to see if anybody's on yet. Okay, here we go. We got some folks. So I wanted to talk about a very important topic, which is finding a political home. Let's see, I'm not able to see comments. I'm not going to pretend to be a pro. Okay, here we go. I see some comments. There's Jeff from Bozeman. Jeff, are you from Bozeman or is your last name Bozeman? Let's see. We got other point. Yeah, we got people jumping on. Let's give it another second here. We got a heart. We got one heart. Before I get into it, can I ask, how's the audio out there for people who are listening? I have a little bit of an echo, but I'm hoping you're not hearing that echo. All right, so let's get into it. So I'm here with Carlos and Sochi from a group called the Working Families Party, and I'm really glad to have them on this call because I want to talk about a topic that I think is important. I'm sure everybody is hearing about vote, election, and oftentimes that gets like it's a really flat conversation, right? Like this month, go vote, and then you're done. And it could be flat, and it can also be like an angry conversation. And I'd like to have the conversation a different way. So if you all know with music, you know that we care a lot about community building. Has to do with way more than just the election, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So Carlos and Sophia are from an organization called the Working Families Party that I've been a fan of for years because I think they think about elections in a really smart way. So I want to welcome them both to this Facebook live stream. Sochi and Carlos, thank you for being here. And I want to start. Yeah, man. Y'all are both incredibly busy people doing a lot of good work, and I really appreciate y'all taking the time to be with me right now. First, I want to start with a really important observation, which is that all of us have some experience with gray hair. And I was just curious if we could start by finding out how you feel about that.
Well, I have to tell you, because I'm the only female right now on the broadcast with you, it's been tough for us ladies to not be able to cover these gray hairs, right? So this is really, really tough. So now I'm going to have to accept, I'm going to have to come to an acceptance that this is just how it is, and I'm just going to have to show my age. So as long as you don't ask me, my age.
Let me ask a different question. Are you familiar with the X-Men?
Yes.
Do you know the character Rogue?
Yes.
Do you know, like, because Rogue, that speak works for Rogue.
I've got the Rogue look.
Yeah. That is working. So I don't know what you were spending on. If you spend money on that before, you can spend it on something else because that was good.
I like that. I'll go with the Rogue look.
Carlos, what about you? What's your attitude?
The name for Sochi is fitting. I like it. Sochi and Rogue. I like it. Yeah.
Because Carlos, you have more up top and less down here. I have it right here, just like, and it's not quite symmetrical, which is my complaint about my own gray hair.
It might just be the camera, but it is here too. I was one of those folks who at a really young age started getting the gray. So like at 21, I was already, getting some gray hair in there. So yeah, it's a little bit genetic for me. But what I think is kind of cool is that young folks now are dyeing their hair to kind of look like this. It makes me feel like I'm a little bit younger and cooler than I actually am.
I tried to do that. When I was like 16, everyone was dyeing their hair like blue and orange. I wanted to dye my hair gray. And my mom wouldn't let me. And I was kind of a mama's boy, so I was like, okay, I won't do it. And then she dyed her hair. Then she was dyeing her hair the whole time. And, we had to talk about it. All right. Now that we hit the hard-hitting issues, Carlos, I would love to just ask you, what is the Working Families Party?
Yeah, I'll give you
people who are watching it. Let me know, yay or nay. Have you heard of the Working Families Party? Do you know anything about the Working Families Party? So we'll get that in the comments. But give us a little rundown. What is this party?
Yeah, so I'd say we are a non-delusional third party, and that word non-delusional is really important to us because while we have a lot of values that align with other left third parties, like the Green Party or some of the other left third parties that are in the country, we have a real distinct motto that says, "Vote your values and win." We think in this moment in our history, the communities that we care about, the communities that we organize in, these are people of color, working class, LGBTQ, folks who are in labor unions. We think that those folks now more than ever need to win. So our motto is to vote your values and win. And so the way we operate is we traditionally operate by endorsing the most progressive Democrat in a race and helping that person get elected in a primary so that in the general election, you're left not with the lesser of two evils, but a working families Democrat versus a Republican. Now, we don't always win in those scenarios, but we do our best. And that's kind of what we're doing. We also operate our campaigns in a very distinct way. Most campaigns hire up a bunch of part-time phone bankers or canvassers, and that's how they win their elections. And that's a legitimate strategy. But what we believe is that we not only need to win elections, but we need to build a movement. And the way you build a movement is by engaging people, by engaging folks in the community to knock on doors, to send text messages, to make phone calls, all the things that the other campaigns are paying people to do. We get folks to engage and do that, and we train them on how to do it so that election cycle after election cycle, we have this cadre of volunteers that can be recruited. And so what we're doing is essentially the opposite of what the right wing do. So we say, we are doing with people what the other side is doing with money.
And this is something that, and this is what's so important. I mean, I'm always so skeptical of people who just only plug into political activities the month of October of an election year, right? Because that energy, that money, all those lists, even they go away a lot of the time, or they don't go where they need to go. But when people plug in through the Working Families Party, y'all are also working year round, right? Like it isn't just this isn't just an election year thing. I was wondering, Sochi, if you could talk a little bit about like what drew you to the Working Families Party. You and I both live here in Colorado. What is it about this party that attracted you?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm talking to you from Colorado, specifically in Southwest Denver, and I actually ran for Denver School Board in Southwest Denver, and I started paying attention to the politics around the injustices occurring in public education. I was just a parent, working full time, going to school at night. For many, many years, trying to, get to that degree that, ended up getting a Bachelor of Science in Business Management. But during that time, being such a busy mom, not really paying attention to, what was happening in politics, in education specifically. So as I'm paying more and more attention, I realized, wait a minute, this it shouldn't be happening this way. And I started getting more involved. And as I start getting involved, in my son's education and what's happening around the politics of it, I decide to run for Denver School Board, and I come across an organization, the Working Families Party, which when I read up on it, it just aligned with my values and the values of my neighbors, all the working families around me in Southwest Denver, which is made up of a very diverse group of working families. So I applied for their endorsement and received their endorsement. Nonetheless, I did not win that election, but I decided that I was going to remain involved because it couldn't stop there. It needed to be something. There was something in me telling me you need to continue. If we just drop the ball, we're never going to see any changes. So I remain involved with the Colorado Working Families Party. So the Colorado branch, I guess you would say, and became a member of the state committee, which is a very large group of very diverse individuals coming from very different backgrounds, but all aligning with the values of really being in defense of and protecting the rights of working families, and looking at it from a lens of also racial justice, right? So bringing racial justice lens to how we make decisions on endorsements. You know, we're very vigilant about paying attention. We listen to legislators, how they're voting, what they're saying. You know, it could be that if you enjoy Facebook or social media, that you follow certain politicians or legislators, to really pay attention to how, you know, what they're talking about, how they're engaging with people.
Right.
If social media is your thing, but there's other ways to engage if you know, if it's a specific issue. In my case, it started out with education.
Yeah.
You know, there could be a specific issue for you that you're really passionate about that helps you kind of engage and want to continue to be a part of this political process.
Well, and one of the things I'm just gonna talk about what I love about y'all for a second, because one of the things that happens every single election is you get this argument. You get people like, I don't want to vote for people I don't believe in. I don't want it to be the lesser of two evils. And then people are like, no, you have to, because if you don't, there's so much at stake. So you got to bite the bullet and not make it a religious thing. Just make, you know, this is not a wedding. This is a test match. You get that back and forth, and it like takes up everybody's Twitter feed, everyone's Facebook feed. People get mad at each other, unfriend each other over this argument every time. And a Working Families Party, like for years, has been like, we don't have to have that argument. We can actually do both things. We can build power for people we believe in at the same time as we're strategic and, you know, admit whatever the actual like politics are on the ground. So just one example, when I first heard about Working Families Party, I just knew about it in New York State, which is where it started, right? And the whole thing was in New York, you could actually have two candidates. A candidate could be on the ballot twice under different parties, right? So you might have a Democratic candidate, but they got the Working Families Party endorsement. And so then it would be, you could vote for the candidate with the Working Families Party line rather than the Democratic Party line. So you're building the Working Families Party, and now they're a powerhouse, right? You just because you get the Democratic endorsement doesn't mean you get Working Families Party's endorsement. And so people have to work hard, and they get they're shot callers in New York State, in New York City. And so I said that's a smart way to do it, instead of just having this like, you know, instead of having that same debate every time. So I really appreciate that. And B, I think I forgot what I was going to say for B. So let's just stick with A. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jamie, thank you. So that system in New York is called fusion voting. And unfortunately, we don't have that system in many states. And so, you know, the model that I said where we endorse the most progressive Democrats is the model we use in most other states. But
you would stop state to state. That's what I love too. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, but we have been successful. I'll give you a local example here. In 2019, we decided we were going to go after the Denver City Council and try to flip that council to be a progressive city council. And so we focused on 3 races, one of the biggest ones, and Johnny Five did a cameo on that on one of our ads for Candy Sedebaca. But we had a few others that we were looking to flip the Denver City Council, and we were successful. We flipped the Denver City Council to be a progressive city council. And then just a few months later, that city council passed a measure to increase the minimum wage for 90,000 workers in the city of Denver. And the majority of those were Black and brown workers. And so they got a wage increase. These are the tangible improvements in people's lives that Working Families is trying to achieve. And we do this year round. Right.
And so I remembered what B was too. B is that, and this is the whole reason I titled this post, you know, political home, right? Ballots are overwhelming. You know, the whole conversation is about the presidential election. Vote as fast as you can. But if you look at the ballot that I got yesterday, I was ready to vote. You know, just as soon as I can, I'll put it in the mail. But it's not that simple. It's 3 pages, and there's a lot on it. And some of those things are really important, even though they're complex and they're local and they're complicated, right? So I don't want to just send it in and vote whatever. But I also want to do it quick because I'm worried about shenanigans, right? Not in Colorado, but just in general. So you also put out a set of like a ballot guide, and you say this is our advice on what to vote on all these different ballot initiatives, right? And this is why I wanted to kind of say to people who are watching is like, look around you, because Working Families Party, how many states are you in?
We're in, I believe, a total of 19 states.
So in those 19 states, the state chapter has probably put out a ballot guide to give some guidance and say, this is what we think on these different issues. I decide often too by checking with friends. I'm sure other people do this too, but there might be people watching that are just like, I have no idea where to even start on some of this stuff. And it's not like the ballot is easy to understand. Often it's deliberately complicated. And there's language you look at, and it might even, you end up voting the wrong way because sometimes they're really deceptive how they write these things. So can I just ask, how do y'all decide what to recommend to people? Like if I go to the Working Families Party Colorado and look at the recommendations, who decided that? Who picked that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Carlos, you can share more in detail, but it's a process. It definitely is a process, and we're all volunteers. Those of us on the state committee, we get together like we're doing now. We get on a Zoom or what have you, and we get together and we interview candidates. We interview candidates, and they go through a very thorough process. And you really do, like you said, have to earn the Colorado Working Families Party endorsement. We drill them, and we grill, and we ask a lot of questions that are pertinent to the working families in our state. And like I said, it's a diverse group of people. So we're coming from different perspectives and with a lot of really great questions. And now candidates know that they have to be very well prepared for our interview process. So there's that piece. In terms of any, ballot measures, initiatives, things like that, we do our research. Again, we put in time to really think about from different perspectives of how this particular initiative or ballot measure, what have you, is going to affect people coming from different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very thorough process. It's not lighthearted at all. And
Right.
Those of us that are in the state committee put our heart into this. I mean, we really do. And we're doing it with passion. But Carlos, if you want to share more details on that process.
Well,
Yes.
real quick, let me just send a question to the people watching. If you know of something on your ballot that really affects you, I'd love to know, because we got people watching from lots of different states. So in the comments, if you know of something on the ballot you think people in your city, your state need to know about, or just a question you even have, I'd love to know that. Honestly, obviously the president matters, Congress matters, those things matter. But even for people that are like, this changes nothing, I don't care about all that, which I know there's people that feel that way. There's local stuff. Like you can smoke weed legally in Colorado. I don't smoke weed, but I could, and I could do it legally. And, even mushrooms were decriminalized last time. So you can't say it doesn't change things. Like the ballot obviously changes things, right? And a lot of times those things go under the radar, even things like pit bull, in Denver, we're deciding whether you can have pit bulls or not. So clearly this ballot will affect you. So for anybody watching, just throw it in the comments, anything that's on the ballot. And Carlos, I'll throw it back to you. Actually, I'll just add anything you're excited about, like, because sometimes all these election moves are like defensive moves, but are there things you're especially excited about on the Colorado ballot?
I think, there are two things that I'm really excited about. I know some people aren't real excited about the top of our ticket, and that's okay. What we're saying is that Biden, Hickenlooper, these folks are a doorway that we have to cross through to achieve the world we want to achieve. And so we have to flip the White House. We have to get that a fascist out of the White House, and we have to flip the Senate and get that back in the hands of the people. And so there are two things, though, that we think every voter in Colorado should know about. The first one is the paid family and medical leave insurance program. Right now, 4 out of 5 workers don't have this basic workers' right. So if they have a child or they get sick with COVID or a loved one gets sick, they can't take time off without losing their job sometimes, or they can't afford to take the time off. But this will be an affordable insurance program where almost all workers in our state will have access to and be able to take the time off they need when they need to. The other thing that we are very conscious of is that there have been mass uprisings all across the country around criminal justice reform and honestly, justice for Black lives. And so we are endorsing in district attorney races where the battle over criminal justice reform is key. And we've endorsed in 2 races here in Colorado. I encourage you to go to coloradojusticevoterproject.org and check out our website and vote on those DA races, because DAs matter right now. And they've always have. We just haven't paid attention to those races really in the past.
Well,
and back to sorry, Johnny, back to the 118, Proposition 118, which is the Yes on 118 campaign. So if you go to yeson118.com, You get tons of more information about why you should vote yes on 118. One of the things that I personally like about that is, and it was really well thought out, is, and it's been 10 years in the making. This is not something that just came up, out of nowhere in the last few months. I mean, this has been happening for years now, in that they're making it now really feasible for small business owners to participate in this. If you're a small, if you're a small business owner, if you own a little auto body shop, if you're a mechanic, just have less than 10 people, less than 10 employees at your shop, or you have a little restaurant, a little taqueria with less than 10 employees, you are, as a business owner, don't have to pay the premium to participate, but yet your employee can still pay into this and have this benefit of this insurance.
This is the paid family leave.
It's very minimal. What's that?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't making the connection. 118 is the paid family leave.
Paid medical and family leave. Yes, on 118.com. Yeah, and so making it really feasible and easy for small business owners to participate in this, so they don't have that big insurance premium that maybe larger companies can afford to pay, right? Mm-hmm. And so everyone can participate in this across the state.
See, I really do want to thank you all both for your work, because honestly, politics is an intimidating process for most people, right? I try to stay up on it. I didn't know which one was 118, which one was the other one. I count on you all, and I rely on you. I tell you all, I have your conversations before I go to my ballot. I do my own research, obviously, but I'm looking for people that I can trust, whose values I know I'm in line with. And the fact that you all are taking the time to invest in all of this research around it, to building a membership that has this type of conversation constantly, that is so valuable. And it's the number of people that benefit from that in this state and all across the country is a huge number. And so I want you all to know that the work you're doing is exponential. And I'm hoping that, just by helping to spread the word about it a little bit, maybe some more people join up with y'all. Can people join and become members?
Yeah, you can text WFP to 30403, and we'll get you on our list. And yeah, you can definitely join us. We have campaigns all across the country. So yeah, feel free to join us there. And Jim, if you don't mind, I'd love to just plug another little project Sophie and I launched today with our organizations, the Colorado Latino Forum, Colorado Black Women for Political Action, and a bunch of other social justice groups here in the state of Colorado. We launched a full statewide ballot measure guide. I sent you the link in your email address. Hopefully you can get it out to your viewers, but it also has this lens of racial justice. And so we call it the Racial Justice Colorado Ballot Guide.
Yeah, and Johnny, I didn't mention that I'm the co-chair of the Colorado Latino Forum, which is an organization that participates along with Colorado Working Families and other organizations that are led by people of color that are participating and engaging and coming together in a very collaborative effort. And like Carlos said, we put out another ballot guide. So the Colorado Working Families Party has their own ballot guide, and then this Leaders of Color has another ballot guide. So that we really are just wanting to help people understand everything that's on the ballot. There's so much on there. As a matter of fact, you have a viewer on Facebook that's commenting, Crystal. I'm seeing her comment right now on Facebook. She's saying that she's really stoked about 113, which is the national popular vote. And so yeah, we're supporting that. And these ballot guides are really help you just get through that. If somebody like Crystal, who's really stoked about that one, they can text, like Carlos said, text 30403 to really engage with us and become a volunteer. And we'd love to have somebody like Crystal and others just help us get out the vote and help us really get information out so that people know how to fill out the ballot, drop it off. And like you said, Johnny, in Colorado, it's so much easier, right? You can drop it off in your nearest ballot drop box. You can mail it in. You can have a friend go drop it off for you. A friend can collect up to 10 ballots. and go help their neighbors and friends drop off ballots. So many different ways that we made it so easy. Now they just need help with filling out that ballot and understanding all of the different initiatives and ballot measures.
So y'all are doing Get Out the Vote as well. Like people can help get out the vote through Working Families Party.
Yeah, and we do it right now because of COVID in two primary ways. We're texting folks. So if you like to be at your computer and text, or we're phone banking and having one-on-one conversations with voters.
Excellent. Well, yeah, because here's the thing. I mean, I try to say this all the time, but there's no such thing as election day, right? Or at least there's a lot of them. November 3rd is the absolutely last day you could vote. But in Colorado, you can vote now. And today's election day. Yesterday was election day. There's no reason to wait. And as soon as you've done that, well, I guess there's one reason to wait, to do your research, right? But as soon as you've done that, you can plug in to Working Families Party and you can actually help get out the vote, other people in your community. So don't delay, do the research, find your political home, find people that you trust. If there's no Working Families Party in your state, we'll try to find some other organizations to kind of link up to for advice. And then find a way to plug in. If you have the extra time, I really urge you to find either Working Families Party or an organization like it that builds power beyond the election. And again, I want to thank you all both so much for all the work you put in. And yeah, this is an opportunity to be connected to people as we're doing the work during the election. And
and if social media is your thing, go to the Colorado Working Families Facebook page, click like, follow the page. You can grab the post that has the ballot guide on there and share the post out to your friends. That'll help too.
Thank you. And we'll post some more resources too. So feel free to send more links and we'll make sure we get them out there in the Facebook feed. And I would say everybody just keep their gray hair right like it is, because it's all looking good. And yeah, there's not, COVID's already happened, so we got nothing to hide now, right?
Nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide.
Although support the small businesses to sell the hair dye, right?
Yep.
Right. Okay. Thank you all so much for getting on and kicking off the Facebook Live with Flowbots here in October.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Have a wonderful rest of the day.